Buffalo Bills playing Philadelphia, the game of the week. Gianni the Greek will be joining us to discuss that a little later. So much more to talk about. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm Lawrence Presman. My co-host today, Marco something or other. And he will be joining me in 2 seconds. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Ralph Michaels is our first guest. Ralph and Marco, thank you for your time today, especially you, Marco, given that you're now stuck in the seat for the next close to an hour. How are you, Ralph?
Doing great, guys. Happy, what is it? It's Black Friday today, right? So check out our WagerTalk Black Friday special.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us what it is? Just check it out, like in the sky where
we did the $69 Thanksgiving special, which sets records every year. It's amazing how many people take advantage, as you should. That's still valid. But a Black Friday through Cyber Monday, our cheapest we have ever sold a month is $199. But you could get 90 days for $199 a month. A great process. I'll tell you what, get you through college football and the bowls, NFL through the Super Bowl, college basketball, NHL, NBA. 3 months of $199 a month. That's valid through Cyber Monday, so take advantage.
There we go, everybody. We got a great show lined up. Gianni the Greek after Ralph. We've got Art DiCesare joining us as well at the end of the show. Ralph, let's start right off the bat with TCU. They're playing Oklahoma. They're plus 9.5. This game is today. What did I mess up, Marco? Are you pulling a Teddy already?
Yeah, we just had this on the show, Ed.
Oh, that's the game you're swapping. Oh yeah, because that game just started. Okay, Marco, I'm having a moment. Let's pivot. Utah State minus 4.5. New Mexico. Pivot over. How do we bet this game?
All right, guys. I like Utah State for a lot of situations here. First, you look at New Mexico. New Mexico had lost 5 out of 7 games. And then you look last week. They go to Fresno State as a huge dog. And what do? They put up 528 yards and allow 230 yards, plus 298 yards versus a conference opponent on the road. That's something New Mexico hasn't done in likely decades. So I'm going to consider that an anomaly. When I looked at teams like New Mexico that are off a huge upset as a double-digit upset, those teams have only gone 33% against the spread the next week. When a team like New Mexico is off a win as an away dog of 17 points or more, and now they're a home dog, going all the way back to 2011, those teams just 20.8% against the spread. And then Utah State fits into a nice category. We're going to be talking about that one in a minute. When teams have 5 wins and they're an away favorite of 3.5 or more in the final game of the regular season, meaning they want to get to bowl eligibility, those teams have covered 76.2% against the spread. Utah State is off one of their worst games against Boise, where they lost by 25 points. But that was a game I can circle and say it was an anomaly as well, as they were minus 4 turnovers. Both teams returned to their former pace and their former type of style of play. Utah State goes in, gets the win, becomes bowl eligible with win number 6.
So, Ralph, I got to play the role of Teddy here and come back and, ask you a counter question. And I can't disagree with anything that you said on the surface in that stat that you gave for, teams with the 5 wins. That's huge. But this final week of the season, and this is dubbed rivalry weekend and everything. When you have a team like New Mexico, and granted, that was a monster win for them on the road last week, coming back home, they've got no bowl game to look ahead to. This is their final home game of the season, and they have the opportunity to, the old saying, misery loves company. They're not going bowling. If they pull off another win, they can play spoiler and prevent Utah State from doing it. And I know what the chart says. I would be curious if we did a subset and seeing what that actually was if that situation arose in the final week of the season, as opposed to, say, a team was a road favorite last week with still a game to play.
Well, I'm going to say this, Marco. New Mexico was in the same position each of the last 2 years, playing the road of a spoiler. Well, let's see. Last year in their final home game with 2 wins in the season, they lose 34-10. In their final game of the season, they lose 17-0. So far we have 51-10. 2 years ago, I look at that spot. They last 2 games of the year trying to play spoiler, they lose 37-0 and 35-10. So that's a combined 72-10. So yes, I understand what the premise says, but this is still a bad New Mexico that's just off one upset win, and I'm not going to overreact to that.
Ralph Michaels, everybody. Guys, let us know in the chat room what you thought of Marco's follow-up question. Please rate it out of 10. I am curious for your opinions. Ralph Michaels, you've got a chart for us. I hand you the mic.
Marco and Prez, and I'll just throw Teddy in the mix. You guys know I love to show charts which are either mythbusters or some fallacy that people tend to think lends to a better record. And I'm going to say this. This is week 12 of the season. Teams that have 5 wins obviously need to get a win to become bowl eligible. So, yes, there's expectations they win. Yes, they want to win the game. But with that comes added pressure. So I'm going to say this. You walk into a bar and ask 8 people, hey, if you're a home favorite with 5 wins in the final game of the season, you got to win to become bowl eligible? Don't you think those teams would be successful? Well, you have to win and cover as a home favorite. So on this chart, the left-hand side is the situation for teams with 5 wins. Home favorite, home dog, away favorite, away dog. The middle part of the chart is if they're playing an opponent with 4 wins or less. On the right-hand chart, it's if they're playing an opponent that has 6 wins or more. So I eliminated all 5 and 5 teams that are 5 and 6 playing each other because obviously they're both playing for bowl eligibility. So take a look. The 2 things that jump out to me, the top left, teams that have 5 wins playing for bowl eligibility as a home favorite against teams with 4 wins or less have only covered 41.9% going back to 2010. But take a look at the bottom right. 5-win teams as an away dog against a team that is already bowl eligible. So, Marco, they may not be fat and sassy, but they know they're already going bowling with 6 wins. Those away dogs have covered 66.7%. So, number one, I'm going to say most people think being a home favorite with 5 wins is a positive. It's not. And most people might think, oh, my God, 5 wins, you're going on the road against a better team and you're a dog, isn't a positive. And it's the exact opposite. It is. So both numbers pop out to me. I'm going to quickly run down the list before we go through. The teams in the 41.9% category as a home favorite, UCF, Rice, Syracuse, ULL, and South Florida. Teams in the away dog role against a team with 6 or more wins, TCU, BYU, Washington State, and Cal.
Marco, anything?
No follow-up on that one. I'll wait till his next breakdown.
Okay, there we go. And it's on a big game. Ohio State plus 3.5 against Michigan. We've had a bunch of people over the week jump into the chat room with just 2 words, go blue. Are you going blue, Ralph?
No, I am going Ohio State. And not only is it a big game, it is the big game. Since 2006, there have only been 2 Week 12 games with undefeated opponents playing each other, Ohio State, Michigan, and Ohio State, Michigan. This is the 3rd time. Going back to 1987, this was courtesy of Mark Lawrence's playbook. Only 7 times has there been undefeated teams playing the final week of the regular season like this game. The underdog has covered all 7. Again, a reason to look at Ohio State, but not a reason to bet Ohio State at all. One reason to look at Ohio State a little more closely, the Buckeyes are 15-1 against the spread as a dog of 3 or more. They're a solid team. They don't turn the ball over. You have a good offense. You have a good defense. Their only loss was against Bama in the conference playoffs a few years ago. And interestingly, why I don't like the over in this game, I will mention this. You think Ohio State, Michigan, you think defenses. The last 8 games in this series have all gone over the total, and they've averaged over 70 points. So something to think about when we look at this game. But the reason I'm on Ohio State is this. You look at Michigan and you look at what they've done. Obviously, Harbaugh not on the sidelines. That means more in games like Penn State and Ohio State. But the last 2 weeks, we've seen McCarthy not 100% healthy. He's been limping a lot. And what's happened? 287 yards at Penn State, 291 yards at Maryland. That's not going to get it done for a team that early in the year was blowing people out and running the ball well. When I look at Ohio State on the season, they are number 2 in the country at plus 2.6 yards per play. By the way, Oregon, number 1. That's diff. So you look at conference games only. You take what Ohio State is averaging yards per play, subtract what they're allowing yards per play, and they're number 2 at plus 2.6. While Michigan is up there at plus 1.8. That's a significant difference. 0.7 yards per play is massive when you're talking about 70 plays in a game. And when you look at Ohio State, you look at the body of work, and you have to remember this. Trevion Henderson was injured during the season. Harrison was banged up. Ibuka missed quite a few games. McCord started the season as a young quarterback with no starts. He's progressed. Everyone talked about Kyle McCord and this blasé Ohio State offense. They're the number 1 pass offense in the country. Henderson's healthy, Ibuka's healthy, Harrison's healthy. That is the best group of offensive skill players there is in the country, bar none. Add tight end Cade Stover, who's going to play in the NFL, and it's just massive. Ohio State's defense isn't that numbers defense that they were last year, getting a lot of sacks. They play quite a bit of different defense this year, allowing some plays in front of them, great in the red zone. Knowles has done an incredible job as defense. The Buckeyes win this game outright.
Ralph, I can't disagree with you on the Ohio State side. I think that they've played the slightly tougher schedule because obviously they had Notre Dame on their schedule and went to South Bend and got that win. But what I am going to ask you, and I know a lot of people do like Ohio State, concerns me a little bit, might be the public dog, when everybody jumps on the underdog. But what I'm going to say here is the line's 3.5. And when you think of a big game, you think that this should be, down to the wire. But history has shown between these two, especially the last 5 years, point spread's not even gotten a sniff in the game because they've been double-digit decisions in the last 5 years. If you like Ohio State, would you go ahead and say, you know what, they're either going to win this game outright or it's going to be a margin game. The point spread's not going to come into play here.
You know what, Marco? It wouldn't be my only play. I might sprinkle some as VR is coming on. He'll tell us, sprinkle some on the money line. But if you have a solid dog for a solid reason, getting 3.5, yeah, I have no problems playing the line and splitting it and playing some on the money line. But don't give away a solid dog because you're trying to get cute winning the money line. I understand the money line plays in the situations, but 3.5 with the two of the best defense in the country, I do expect this game to be much closer than, like you said. They haven't been recently, with Ohio State blowing them out for all those years and Michigan winning handily each of the last 2 years. But that Ohio State team was a different defense than this team is.
Ralph Michaels, everybody, guys. Ralph is our number 1 college basketball betting expert this year, and you are on a 10-1 run. I was actually speaking to Teddy earlier during the week, Ralph, because in your sales pitch it says 10-1-1. Teddy and I never put the push. Why you put the push?
Because I had a bunch of people buy it yesterday, and when they see a record promoted the following day and it was a push, I just put it in there for recognition that I know it's in there. Longer terms, I understand not leaving it in there, but it's just for complete transparency for the people that bought the package. They see today's game of the day, 19-8-1 on the year with that push. So again, just something I do, Prez. I understand longer term, but uh, close to when you release the play, I want to let people know that's what it was counted as because it was a down to the wire game.
There we go, everybody. Ralph's got a college basketball play of the days on a 10-1 run. You can call it a 10-1-1 run, but I'll call it a 10-1 run. Congratulations on an incredible start, Ralph. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Is there anything else you want to promote?
Nope. 19-8-1 this college basketball season. Everyone have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy the Friday of football and the first NFL Black Friday game.
There we go. Ralph Michaels, everyone. Marco, before we get into what did bettors learn, are you in play on the Miami game that is going on tonight? The Dolphins and the Jets?
I am, Prez, like everybody else, either money line or teaser, with the parlay, finding something else, because obviously you look at this game in the Jets, we know how good that defense is, but I just don't know how they're going to generate enough points to beat this Miami Dolphin team with the offense. But it'll be a good segue into what did bettors learn, because we had 3 of those type of games we thought going into yesterday. And lo and behold, one of them did not come through. And Prez, I love to play a lot of poker here, in Vegas. And it's my, the wind down time in the evenings. I get to watch the games in the sports book. But more importantly, I love to listen to John Q. Public at the poker table. And, whenever it's the day before big football day, you hear everybody talking about the games and what they're going to play. And I can tell you, and I'm sure when we talk to Art later, there wasn't anybody that didn't have a money line parlay yesterday or a teaser with those 3 favorites that were on the card yesterday. And when that happens, it almost seems year in and year out that there's going to be one of those teams that are going to stub their toe and save the books, because it doesn't matter that everybody was on Dallas and, the over in that game. Everybody was on the 49ers. When Detroit lost the early game, that wipes out all those parlays, all those teasers to start the day, and then the books are free rolling from there. But what did bettors learn? The Detroit Lions, are they the same old Lions? Oh, we saw it yesterday. This is a team that has a great offense, can go up and down the field, but if you turn the football over and you're giving up points the way they did to Green Bay yesterday, you just can't cover point spreads. They're a team that's just learning how to win again. And as much as you like Dan Campbell, and, last week everybody was praising him for the big set of, with some of the calls he had. And that's great when they work. But these guys that take chances like Campbell, like
Staley.
Thanks, Prez. I was trying to pull the name out there for the Chargers. That can backfire on you. And the play that he did from his own 20-some yard line on 4th down, when the game, you don't have to push the panic button yet. It's still a 2-score game. That just gave the game away when that blew up in their face. So careful with these automatic plays, especially it seems like when there's a cluster of them on one day, one's going to find a way to lose.
Yeah, well said, Marco. And I was one of those idiots that had Detroit in a teaser yesterday with San Fran. And listen, that's okay.
Me too.
So did
I was
Carm.
with you.
Yeah. I felt the fake punt was really the game. They just, and the worst part about it was, and I know it was a bad call by Dan Campbell, but the guys on the field have to check out of that. They got 2 linebackers standing there, not rushing, which means they're completely set up to stop the fake punt. Dan Campbell's fake punted more than any other coach since his tenure begun. Bad call. They should have checked out of it, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so guys, one of you wanted to know how to bet the Miami game tonight. Well, I'm going to tell you in the daily presidential address when we get to 125 likes. I also want to mention I swept the daily presidential address last time we were all here on Wednesday, and I got a bunch of plays to give out on today's daily presidential address. I do want to say I had a 5% play up on Wednesday, and it cashed. And I have another one tonight. And I rarely have these 5% plays. I think this is my fourth one of the month, the third or fourth one of the month. It just coincidentally is 2 NHL cards in a row, but it is what it is. I'm absolutely in love with my 5% play tonight. Head over to WagerTalk and please grab that play. I do have 2 NBA and 2 college basketball bets as well. Marco D'Angelo, it is our good friend, Gianni the Greek. Wow. Dude, how was your Thanksgiving? Little
God bless America, never better. Excuse me?
What did you do? Did you do anything special?
No. I stayed here, nothing at all. Just another day. It was, it's Thanksgiving, a nice day, but for me, nothing really special going on.
Where are you watching the games, Gianni? I know you're staying in a casino or hotel. Surely they didn't provide you with 7 different television sets, although you are Gianni.
Actually,
so
I have 3 TVs in this room, believe it or not. I've got 3 big TVs, and they got one in the bathroom too. But I don't even have the games on. Right now I have CNBC on and Bloomberg because I got up, I'm trading. I have 2 big trades. So I'm betting the sports as well. I've got sports going on, but it's a half day today in the stock market. So I had to get up, get some things out of the way there, but I've been digging into sports. I got a ton of stuff. So much college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, wherever you want to go. I've got nothing but good stuff for the people.
Well, here's how this segment will go. Marco, you have not been on the show with Gianni. Basically, Gianni, I'll ask you about your first game. Marco, you set up the second game. No follow-ups. That way we allow Gianni at the end of his segment to just ramble a million bets at us. So with that said, Gianni the Greek, San Jose State, plus 2.5 against UNLV. How do we bet this one?
Yeah, it's the right side. I mean, at plus 3, I would have liked it a little more, but the fact that I'm betting it on the money line eliminates that fear. Because the bottom line is San Jose State is the better team. They just don't have the better record. And I love these spots because here's what you're looking at. You're looking at a UNLV team. Let's look at their last 3 years. They won 2 games, 5 games, get a new coach. And in this coach's first year, they're a 9-2 football team that's covered 10 of 11 games. If there's not mean reversion ahead for this team, then there's not mean reversion ahead for nobody. That's exactly what you should expect from UNLV. They've outperformed the betting market, but this is a very efficient betting market that does eventually correct itself. And this is a perfect spot for a correction against the San Jose State team that came out of the gate this season, not playing as well as they're capable of. But we've seen down the stretch just how legit this team is. And they've owned UNLV. They've beat them 9 of the last 10. They've got an experienced quarterback who's only thrown 1 interception in his last 5 games. And finally, I always talk about passing success rate. And when I look at the offensive side of the ball and I adjust for strength of schedule, not only is San Jose State much better, but then on the defensive side of the ball, they're not much behind either. I think we get the better team catching points against a UNLV team that's way ahead of their skis. I think they come back down to earth. This is the perfect team to do that for them. Take San Jose State on the money line. I mean, if you want points, take the points too, but you're not going to need them.
Ace, looking ahead to Sunday in the NFL, an interesting ball game. We've got Buffalo traveling to play Philadelphia. I know you're a fan of the Eagles there from your old days in South Philly. But is this team right now in a bad spot? Are they overpriced with the market after the Monday night game against Kansas City?
Nobody more perfect than Marco to set this game up for me because this has sandwich written all over it. And you're like, wait, how could Buffalo Bills be a sandwich game? They're the Buffalo Bills. They were one of the Super Bowl favorites. Yeah, but they haven't had the season we've expected. And here's what the Eagles have done. They're coming off back-to-back games against Dallas and Kansas City. And guess what they have coming up again? They have Dallas and San Francisco ahead. So Buffalo Bills actually a sandwich game. And what I love about Buffalo is you get a good team, a very good team that their stock is at their lowest. We already know Buffalo's a good team. They were one of the Super Bowl favorites coming in. They've definitely underperformed. That's obvious because their defense is one of the worst. In fact, they're number 3 offensively in passing success rate, but 30th defensively. If you can't stop people in the NFL, you're not going to win many football games. Fortunately for them, they're going up against the Eagles, whose defense is also in the bottom 15 of the NFL in passing success rate. So I think this Buffalo offense will have a lot of success scoring on the Eagles, more than enough, Marco, to not just get a cover, but I think get the win in Philadelphia and get caught looking ahead to that San Francisco game.
Marco, you want to ask a follow-up on this, or shall we move on?
You can move on because he nailed it with the sandwich. I took a big bite of that sandwich.
Listen, Gianni, I'm with you. Gianni, I'm with you, and it is a tough spot for Philadelphia, and they are coming off of a short week as well. The only thing we got to remember, though, too, look who Buffalo has on deck. They're about to enter Nightmare Alley. But what you're saying makes total sense to me. Guys, it is Thanksgiving Friday, so we don't have our regular. Normally, we have 500 people watching right now. It's only 200, so I will make the likes 100. Get me 100 likes, everybody. Gianni, you got a lot of bets to give out. First, before we get into that, man, I hope that you're playing in the Bitcoin game because, well, we saw a $2,000 increase over the last 2.5 days in Bitcoin. And for me, booyah, baby. You doing Bitcoin?
I'm actually in a short. I'm shorting Bitcoin right now. I think it's I actually added to my short yesterday at 38,000. I added to it. I am deep believing in the future of Bitcoin, but I'm also have lived through more than one cycle now that I know that these markets work in cycles. And we're still in that inverted yield curve. And for that to play out, there's got to be a recession. And I think once that happens, Bitcoin's going to do nothing but drop like everything else. That's just my thesis over the next 6 to 12 months.
With that said, Gianni, we've had 2 big halving events in the last 8 years, and both times they were always in around March, and both times the November and December months heading up to that halving, it was like to the moon. So
just the only advice I'll add is take profits. Don't be afraid to take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. I know we all want to go to the moon, but sometimes taking profits and not just being paper rich is a good thing, because I've left so many gains on paper that never materialized to actual money because I didn't cash out. That's all I'm going to stress there, that if you are in the money, you may want to take some profits because nothing goes straight up.
Guys, we're going to run the show late. Gianni, you have a couple of minutes. Throw us a whole bunch of bets you think we should make.
All right. Well, let's knock out today real quickly because they are viewers watching live. So make sure you get on the over tonight in that Miami Jets game. I know these offenses, especially the Jets side, are anemic, but the line's been adjusted for that. So look for that game to go over. And then let's go to Montreal in NHL. Take the Canadians up to minus 140, 145 max. In NBA, you want to look at the Washington Wizards plus the 14. And then let's move over to college football. A couple college football plays. Texas Tech plus 2 touchdowns. Oregon State plus 2 touchdowns. And Kentucky plus 7. Ball State, now they're down to 5.5. So you're probably better off sprinkling a little Ball State money line. And I already gave you San Jose. And finally, in the NFL, you want to look at the New England Patriots. I know they've underperformed, but I think this is a good spot for the Patriots. And Chicago Bears plus the 3, another sprinkle, a live sprinkle. I believe that's Sunday night or Monday night primetime game. So we got enough action for today and this weekend. And don't forget, Steam Room is free on Sunday. I will be going through all the NFL games, answering any questions you have on any other games that you want information on, and we will be firing live. So if you are going to join us, log into your accounts and be ready to fire, because as soon as 8 o'clock starts, 11 p.m. Eastern, we get to work.
Booyah! Whoa! You can breathe now. Gianni the Greek, everyone. Thanks for joining us, brother. Best of luck this weekend. We love having you on the show. Outstanding segment.
Thanks for having me. Love you guys. Best of luck.
Be good, brother. Marco, Teddy always does a big game breakdown around this point of the show. It's time for yours.
All right, Prez, I'm going to go to a Sunday NFL game, and we've been reading the Pittsburgh Steelers going with and against them, pretty much on the right side all season long. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to do that game, and I'm going to go against my Steelers. Now, a lot of the knee-jerk reaction to this game would be to take the Steelers this week for a couple reasons. One, they finally fired Matt Canada. And I'm ecstatic about that because I don't like the way the offense, the play calling has been with the Steelers. That's one of the reasons why the Steelers, through 10 games this season, have been out-yarded in all 10 games. Also, people are going to look and say, well, Cincinnati, their season's over. Joe Burrow is out. How are they going to make the playoffs? Stick a fork in them, they're done. Well, if you know me, you know I love the injured player theory, and we used it last week in the same situation against the Steelers with the Browns. I'm going to do it again here with Cincinnati. Jake Browning came in last week. He was cold, didn't get the prep during the week. Obviously, Joe Burrow, especially on a short week, they played on a Thursday night, got all the reps. Now he's had extended practice because they played on Thursday, and I'm going to look at the Steelers and say this. Now that Matt Canada is gone, all of the pressure in the world is on Kenny Pickett. Everybody is saying, was it Canada? Was it Pickett? Who was it? Well, that puts the pressure on Kenny Pickett to deliver. Will the Steelers' offense be better this week? Yeah, but they're still a long way away. Kenny Pickett is not progressed the way he should have from his first season. I'm going to take what I feel is the better team. And with the injured quarterback, we're getting line value here with Cincinnati being a small home dog. And I'm going to call for the Bengals to get the win 23-17. That's the big game breakdown for Sunday.
I was just going to ask you what you think the score will be. 23-17? Wow, that's 40 points, Marco. Seems like an over is in the works for you. You think one of these teams, you think Cincinnati can get 23 points?
I think Jake Browning's going to have a much better game than you expect. And the Steelers, if you can throw the football, you can win. And I think they're going to have some plays to make some big plays early and force the issue. You know how that goes, Prez. If you can get a couple scores in that first quarter, it changes the whole complexion of the game. And I think that's what Cincinnati has to do, because the Steelers are going to pack the line and dare them to throw.
Listen, I've never met Matt Canada in my life, but I can tell you this. It's never Canada's fault.
Nice one.
What do you got going for the clients this week?
Well, Prez, obviously, full slate of football Saturday and Sunday. I am going to have a 5% this weekend. Possibly the first time this year for 2. I'm waiting on confirmation on some injury reports before we fire the second one, but we will have a 5% this weekend. Take advantage either of the Black Friday special or that Thanksgiving special, $69 for 7 days. That's the way to go with all of the plays this week. I've got a big 4% up tonight in the NBA, Prez, along with a couple other plays so far, and I'm still adding to that once I get done with this show. That's the way to go. In that NBA, I don't release a lot of plays, Prez. I'm not in action every day in the NBA, but when we have, we've won. Over the last 3+ seasons, we are number one at WagerTalk in money won in the NBA, and we've got a big 4% play tonight. Check it out over at WagerTalk.com.
Marco, when was the last time an old man was in action every day?
I try to be, Perez. I try to
If
be.
you guys are Canadian and you've seen what's his name? The guy who sat with Don Cherry. Oh my God, I've gone blank. He's like the #1 broadcaster. I'm woodier than that guy. Can't even remember his name. What the hell is it? Ron McLean. Anyway, Art DiCesare joining us, everyone. We need 8 more likes to get to a daily presidential address. Arthur, how might you be, my brother? And have you ordered your merch yet?
So I've been working on what my order is going to be. There's just so much out there. I know I want my No Pucks Given hoodie. That's clearly going to be #1 on my purchase list. But I think I'm going to wait for the holiday weekend to end, and then I'm going to fully put my order in.
Here is the hoodie that
Yeah.
0 pucks given.
Yeah. Yep.
And you guys can buy that hoodie over at wagermerch.com. Use the promo code MERCH20 for 20% off your order. You can also buy this shirt. My favorite team changes every 3 hours. And there's a lot more. There's so much stuff up there, especially for poker players. So check that out. Art, look, we got lots to talk to you about. But first and foremost, I've been waiting all week to discuss this one thing with you. His name is Marco, but it's not that Marco. Not that guy. It's another guy named Marco. And he's on TikTok. And for some reason, this Marco guy, every week, has a 16 to 400 team parlay. He's always one game left to go before he wins $1 million. And his shtick is, does he cash that out or not? He always lets it ride. And for some reason, he's never lost a 16-team parlay in his life. Do you know who this guy is? And my question to you is, if you were making $10,000 bet parlay to win $1 million and you were winning it week after week after week, would you be able to even get those bets down? Like, how not true is all of this?
I think when it comes to that and it comes to social media and just the way sports gambling has exploded, buyer beware. It's very easy to fake things, to fudge things. There's just no way. I mean, you guys know better than I know, and I know probably is, better than most people. It's hard to pick one game, let alone, these 10 and 12 and 15. It's ridiculous. And listen, everyone who was on the last leg of that, I don't care what it is, you would cash out. You would take your profit every week, and you would. It's just dumb. I get so annoyed when I see it.
So last follow-up on this, and then Marco will get some actionable info out of you. If a guy walks up to the Westgate counter and puts down a $50,000 parlay that can win $1.7 million, is that a bet you want?
It depends. Now, a lot of the times when we're talking about a bet of that nature, it's going to go way above the risk room, and that's got to go all the way to the president of, the Westgate. I mean, that's not just something where we're sitting in the back of the risk room saying, yeah, we'll just approve that. Some of those are going to have to be phoned in. Now, a lot of the times over the long haul, obviously you want those type of bets, and you want people putting down 8 and 10 and 12 teamers. Those are usually good for us. Now, a lot of times you see during the college football season, you see some big house players come in and want to put $20,000 on the 10 biggest favorites in college football that Saturday, all on the money line. Now, is it going to pay $1 million? No. But you're still going to be in a position where maybe, you're giving out a free $100,000 or you're giving out, $200,000. So there are things where you have to, find a way to, we are in the risk business. So there is a thing over the long haul where we do want those bets, but some people do know what they're doing when it comes to that.
Yeah, these guys are making this shit up. Anyway,
Of course.
Mark, yeah, I mean, and I wanted to mention it because I'm hearing it from my friend's 14-year-old son, thinks this guy's a betting god.
Yeah.
Anyway, Marco, get some actionable info out of it, man.
All right, Art. First question I'll ask you from yesterday. How good was the Detroit loss for the house?
Marco, it was amazing. I heard you say it earlier, and you said it perfectly. It was like we were free rolling the rest of the day. We sat there on Wednesday and even Thursday morning saying, man, if we get to, San Francisco at night and we need Seattle, we're going to be in a world of hurt. And, there were people who even took it a step further and added the fourth leg in with Miami today. So there was a lot of that. Now, I will say this. Once Detroit went down early, there were people who hopped back in and went Dallas, San Francisco, Miami. So there were some people who did that. That was something we did see because obviously Detroit was the early game. If it had happened in the middle with the Cowboys, then you don't have much to work with. So, Detroit being the early game was great for us, and we actually had a really nice day. So obviously nothing but positivity for the book.
Marco, I got to jump in real quick because B. Reed set me up here. B. Reed wrote at Wager Merch, do you have XXL for the merch? So B. Reed, yeah, man, we sell to Americans. Even Canadians aren't stupid. Okay.
All right. Art, any games on today's card or Saturdays in college football that you guys have got some exposure or sharp action?
Absolutely. One game today in college football, obviously a bunch have already kicked off, but Missouri was very popular with the Sharps this week. Missouri laying 8, got all the way to 9.5. We creep back to 9. They're obviously playing a dead-in-the-water Arkansas team is 4-7. Missouri looking to get their win and go to 10 wins and maybe even get a really big major bowl. So Missouri was huge. The rest in college football sharp action, the Iron Bowl took under money. It was 49, now 47.5. Sharps came in, laid the 6.5 with Kansas against Cincinnati. We've bumped up to 7. Public's on a couple of favorites this week. They're on UNLV laying the short number. That's a lot of local stuff, but, we did see some people come into town and lay UNLV. They took the over in the Washington State game, and they laid the 11.5, the public, with LSU against A&M.
7 more minutes. Marco, stay on Slack so we can communicate. Art, Gianni got on the show, mentioned Buffalo. He likes them against Philadelphia. He can see them winning outright. So my question to you is a fewfold. 1, can you talk about that game specifically? 2, how come Kansas City didn't make it into any of those parlays? Let's just start there.
Kansas City's interesting. I think Kansas City will be in some parlays, Prez, but I think people are starting to worry about that offense. That defense is incredible. And obviously it's a divisional game. Raiders are getting a lot of points in a divisional game. Obviously, if you do a money line, you just need them to win the game. But I think a little people are weary of the Chiefs. Obviously, Bills-Eagles is the game of the week. We've been sitting 3 -20 all week. Haven't wanted to go to 3.5. We feel if we go to 3.5, obviously the Bill money will flood in with the Sharps. I actually love the Bills in the game as well. I think the Bills, there could be a little bit of a letdown for the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles off the short week as well. And Buffalo's still a really good team despite all the struggles they have had.
Art, I'll be seeing your fabulous sports book in a few hours today. I always do a live radio show on Friday. So if anybody's in town, want to come by and say hi, myself, TC Martin show, we broadcast high up on the perch in the sports book by the poker room. And Fridays, it's always a distraction when all the TVs are going on a normal Friday, but it's going to be even more today because we got everything going. You've got all the college football, NBA, hockey, ton of hockey games this afternoon. Not a better place to watch the game. So I want to give you guys a shout out with the Westgate. And my favorite thing about the Westgate Sportsbook, obviously, great numbers, everything else, but is one of the smoke-free sportsbooks in town. Love that. You guys do. You do a great job there, Art.
Yeah, no, Marco, I'm glad you said that. And, I always tell people that, obviously the old school sportsbooks, the old school casinos, and, listen, there was cigar smoke, but it is nice to come in and know that you're not going to have to deal with that. And listen, for you who want to smoke a stogie or smoke a cigarette, you can take 2 steps out of the sportsbook and you can smoke. There's no problem with that.
Well, I actually think it's great, Art. But I'm glad not all sports books have followed your lead. Art, why are the New England Patriots favored? I mean, is it their incredible quarterback? Is it their spectacular defense? Maybe it's their world-class O-line, the incredible wide receivers they have, the running game that can't be stopped. Is it all of those reasons?
Prez, for anyone who knows, I am a lifelong diehard Giants fan. And I'm not sitting here as a Giants fan saying it makes no sense. I'm just sitting here from a guy who gambles and works in the sportsbook industry. I don't think it makes any sense. I don't understand how New England could be laying 3, let alone 3.5 to anybody on the road. I don't care how bad the Giants are. Both teams are bad. The Giants winning last week was actually awful. It screwed up draft picks. And now New England's in a chance where they can actually lose out and maybe get the number 1 pick. So I don't understand it at all. This game's actually seen minimal action because late in the season when you get 2 teams that are 2-8, 3-8, you start to see a lot of, smaller handle on those type of games.
Yeah, I mean, dude, to me, I'm surprised that there's not a lot of handle on that game. I mean, I look at that game and I'm like, are you aware that New England went 8 quarters, 2 games in a row, 3 points? Yeah. You cannot cover this is a mathematical fact. Not even that TikTok Marco guy could dispute this. You cannot cover -3.5 if you don't get more than 3 points. Marco, do you have any other questions for Art DiCesare? And then we got to get his personal picks.
I am good.
Yo, you are good, Marco. I am. Art, did you hear the funny joke Marco was saying earlier on in the show when he talked about how he plays poker?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you got the joke. Okay, Art, everybody always asks for your personal bets. The mic is yours.
Let me just throw a couple of public and sharp things, too, for the NFL. We didn't really go over that. Public's on the Texans. Public's on the Colts. Sharps are on the Saints. That was a pick-up, now 1.5. And actually a pivotal game in that NFC South. Terrible division, but somebody's got to win it. Chargers took money at +4 from the Sharps against the Ravens, now 3.5. And that game I know Gianni talked about, the sharp money came in on the Bears at 3.5. Now that game is 3 against Minnesota. We kind of teased one of my personal picks. I'm taking the Giants +3.5. It just doesn't make any sense. I think the Giants can win the game outright. They're at home. The actual strength of their team has been their defense. Their defense looked great last week. Thibodeau's been a really home run player for them with one of those top picks. And in college, I like Virginia Tech under the 3, -2.5. Need the win to get to a bowl. I understand it's a rivalry game against Virginia, but obviously the Virginia season has gone nowhere at 3-8. Virginia Tech wins, they're in a bowl, so lay the 2.5 with the Hokies.
Okay, so those are your personal picks. Everything good? Anything in NHL or basketball?
No, I got some sharp information for those sports, absolutely. NBA, you've seen a lot of under money today. Suns in Memphis, 223.5, now 220.5. Pistons and Pacers, I don't know how you ever take an under in a Pacers game. All their games go over. I believe they're 13-1 in the over. But we saw some under money today. That was as high as 248 on an opener, now 243.5. College basketball, game that tips in a couple hours. Indiana State was laying 2 against Toledo. They're now 4.5. Sharp money was there. And Prez, people still believe in the Oilers for some reason. That opened $1.28, now up to $1.40. That's been public money, though, on the Oilers. No one sharp is coming in to lay the Oilers.
Well, I'll tell you flat out, and as far as I'm concerned, pat on the back, I'm the sharpest NHL bettor on the damn planet. And I love the Oilers tonight. So
okay,
I get it. I like the over better though, Art. And I'm actually going to be betting the over in that game, 6.5. Honestly, it's like, why not? I mean, how can you not just keep betting Oiler games over? But I do like the Oilers, and what kept me off of the Oilers for my clients was that damn line move. Thank you for joining us, my friend. What do you got to promote?
you guys are the best. Listen, obviously, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Always a pleasure to join you guys. Nothing but love and blessings to your families. Listen, Westgate Superbook, Marco gave it a little pump before. And listen, today's a great day. The whole weekend's a great weekend of football and sports and everything. It just come down to the Westgate. Check us out. Obviously, the smoke-free arena, all the plush seats, got everything you want. Come sign up for the app. We still got a good giveaway on the app. And if anyone needs any information, come ask for me. I will not be there today, but I will be there the rest of the weekend. Come ask for me, and I will come out and give you a couple minutes and talk to you with any help or anything you need.
There we go. Art DiCesare, everyone. Marco, thanks for co-hosting with me, my brother. You got a busy day ahead of you. What do you got going for the clients? Oh, you've already done that. You've got a 5%, and there might be a second 5%, right?
This weekend, yeah, we got a big 4% tonight in the NBA, so check that out. Is my underdog game of the week, Prez. I really think this one has an opportunity to win outright, not alone cover.
Wonderful stuff. I love Sunday's NFL card. Love. I have 7 plays. They'll all be up in the next few hours. I have 3 side bets. Marco, I'm 70%. I think 68% in NFL side bets in the last 2 years. I have 3 of them this Sunday. So I'm a little nervous because, and this as a handicapper, you can really screw it all up with an 0-3. But I love them. I freaking love my side bets. I got to lay them out. I got to put them down. I got to sell them. I got to bet them. So
absolutely. When you're seeing things as well as you're seeing them right now, the games they jump off the page. I say it all the time. You can look at the schedule and there's like teams jump up in 3D. And whenever on the same token, when it's the other way, Prez, you can sit there. If you're in a little bit of a slump, it's like you're reading a different language. You keep looking and looking and nothing jumps at you.
Okay. Thank you, my brother. We'll come back to you because you're going to close the show. I'm still thinking about what I'm eating for lunch today. I don't know. Do you have a suggestion for me?
I know what I'll be eating for lunch and probably dinner too. It'll be leftover turkey, as I love this weekend. I know you don't like turkey.
Turkey is like the driest thing in the world. We got 100 likes. Dan, cue up the daily presidential address. Okay, everybody, I got a bunch of picks to give out on this daily presidential address, including a 3% play that I am betting today. I'll also give out a couple of NFL bets. Before we get into that, I have a 5% play going tonight in the NHL. It is a total. I am 80% in the last 2 years on this exact type of play, a 5% NHL total. I'm also on an 8-2 run in these NHL totals. I am the number 1 NHL expert at WagerTalk. I could go on and on for an hour, but I trust you guys. You trust me. Everyone will play that play and we'll all win together. So, with that said, my 3% play in NHL is the over in the Leafs and the Blackhawks game. That goes in 1 hour. It is a 3% client play. That is my favorite play of the day, except for my 5%. I also like Edmonton and Washington to go over the total of 6.5. And I like New Jersey and Columbus to go over the total as well. I like the New Orleans Atlanta game to go under the total. I like Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, regardless of what Marco said, to go under the total. And that's it. What an awesome show. I wish you guys the most wonderful weekend. Marco, take us home.
All right. Want to thank all of our guests today. Ralph kicked it off. We had VR, and then, of course, Art Materas from the Westgate. You guys have a great weekend. Cash a lot of tickets. We'll be back on Monday. I won't be back, but Prez and Teddy will be back on Monday for more Wager Talk Today. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.